What's up, everybody, and welcome into the RPG podcast. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We're here to talk about De'Von Achane, running back for the Miami Dolphins, and what his 2025 fantasy outlook could be for Dynasty. And we'll talk a little bit about the future as well and what that might hold. So, if you've been watching these breakdowns, you'll know that one of the first things that we typically do is go over to Dynasty Data Lab, and we will go over there to see in startups, where is he currently going off the board. You'll see right here, currently going RB5 off the board, the 29th overall pick. If you ask me, that's a little rich for a Dynasty running back that produces well, has injury concerns, has quarterback injury concerns, and has a major question mark of an offensive line in front of him. You look at some of the running backs going around him, and you got Achane Hampton going directly behind him. Look, if you can take lesser production for 2025 and think that you're going to have a longer outlook on a dynasty career at running back and a higher outcome at running back, Achane Hampton is, in my opinion, the clear pick over Achane. You look at Saquon is the next running back in front of him. Uber production. You know exactly what you're getting out of Saquon. You know that the Eagles love to run the football. So he is surrounded by two backs. One that's a rookie that has a incredibly high upside that may just produce a little bit less for the 2025 season. But you're given that trade-off for somebody that I think is a capped-out asset. I do not see a path for De'Von Achane to go higher than RB5. If you feel differently, please let me know why in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. Really appreciate that. But if we go over to Fantasy Pros and what he did in the 2024 season, we'll start going over some of the things that I think is going to be pretty common theme throughout his career. You look at the massive step that he took in receiving workload from the 2023 to 2024 season, racking up 87 targets in 2024. Part of that's the quarterbacks just needed to dump it off because the wide receivers weren't the wide receivers that we thought they were. The offensive line was bad, so there really wasn't much time. So he was just trying to get the ball out of his hands. Regardless, though, targets typically lead to receptions. Receptions are points in PPR leagues, and you get some yardage out of it. Maybe you get a touchdown or two. You can see Achane had 6 receiving touchdowns. You look at these top 12 guys in points per game. None of them had 6. The closest is Gibbs up here at 4, and the closest is Chase Brown down there at 4. So very clearly, Achane was leading the pack in the receiving game. He's right there with Alvin Kamara. What do we love Alvin Kamara for is his receiving upside. Now, De'Von Achane has that receiving upside. The issue that I have with him is I think he's rather capped as a volume running back. You look at the other running backs around him: Jonathan Taylor, 300 carries, Josh Jacobs, 301, Joe Mixon, 245, Kyron Williams, 316. All right, we're talking about running backs Henry, Bijan, Saquon, all above 300 carries. He would need to be Jahmyr Gibbs level efficient, which he is not Jahmyr Gibbs level efficient with the football in his hand to be able to make low 200s carries actually work to be a top end RB1. So we're talking those top 5 production RB assets. Sure. Will he have some of those weeks where he absolutely pops off? Yeah, it's very possible. His physical gifts show that he has so much speed to be able to break any kind of angle that a defender has, be able to break any kind of dump off pass for a very long gain, be able to get to the outside in the running game, and be able to take it to the house on any given play. That's great, but we also need you to have volume, not just high efficiency upside. if we're talking about these legitimate high upside RB1s. All right, you go to the draft and you start looking at what the Miami Dolphins did in the draft. I really expected them to just pound interior offensive line, maybe take a tackle early. I did not see them taking a defensive tackle early, and then taking a guard in the second round, especially not having any other picks until day 3 after that. I really thought this offensive line was in desperate need of some help. And sure, they tried a little bit, but I don't think they did nearly enough to be able to help to solidify this offensive line. So we'll move over to PFF now, so I can show you a little bit of what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking this offensive line is not very good. So you have Aaron Brewer, probably the best player on this offensive line. He's their center. No, not probably. He is their best player on this offensive line. At center, manning the middle. You look at that, 74.9 run blocking grade is a very good grade for a center. 7 out of 40 centers that PFF ranked. Should be, once again, another well-rounded center season for Aaron Brewer. Liam Eichenberg. Talk about a liability on that offensive line. Hopefully, the guard that they took in the draft will replace him, and hopefully James Daniels, who they brought in the offseason, will be able to be healthy coming off of a torn Achilles. I would expect James Daniels to be slow walked back into a guard role and be looking for him maybe closer to halfway through the season coming back. But the tackle position, all right. Teron Armstead is gone. He retired. Austin Jackson should not be a left tackle, should be placed over at right tackle. Oh, you're going to tell me that leaves this guy, Patrick Paul. All right. Recent draft pick, so hopefully there can be improvement that occurs. But, man, that is not inspiring. Seeing a 41 run blocking grade, you're telling me that you're basically just letting defenders get right in the backfield. So that's going to cause issues for Achane. The guard position could potentially cause issues for Achane up the middle. So you could have a weaker left side of the offensive line. That's going to be an issue as well for Tua. If they don't have Tua, Achane's not going to get as many dump offs. They're going to be able to allocate more resources to stopping the run for defenses. You pair all of that together, and that means Achane's value goes down because Tua loves to be a dump-off king, to be able to get the ball in his playmakers' hands. And that's what made Achane so efficient and so effective and so valuable last season. And this offseason, why people are making crazy trades for him. All right, we're going to go over to Fantasy Calc now, and we're going to show what our friends over there have him valued at. Oh, okay. They have him valued at RB6, going for that 103, 104 pick straight up. You can get that according to them. I don't know. Have you seen that in your dynasty leagues? I know I've seen Achane for the 104 in a couple of my dynasty leagues. I don't think I have ever seen him for the 103. If somebody wants to give me the 103 and Amarian Hampton slips to the 103 because somebody took Travis Hunter or somebody took Cam Ward in front of him, I would love to have that 103 to take Amarian Hampton. I will happily take a little bit of a dip in 2025 production to be able to get a better long-term asset, a back that could handle 250 to 270 rush attempts instead of a back of Achane's status and stature that is projected to be somewhere between 200 and 225 carries for his entire career. I like the volume guys a little bit better. Hampton is also a smooth receiver. But we digress from Achane. All right. So you've seen Fantasy Pros, you've seen what he produced last season. I'll just quickly go over on my screen here as well to go back to that. 17.6 fantasy points per game in the 2024 season. Almost 300 fantasy points in PPR formats. Do I expect that to hold? I really don't. I find it really hard with this offensive line situation, with the team situation and everything that's circling around the organization, investing so heavily in the defense in the draft instead of prioritizing the offensive line to keep what they think is their franchise quarterback into a healthy and to be able to open up lanes for De'Von Achane. Pair that together, I'm predicting him to drop a little bit in his points per game down to somewhere in that 16.5 to 16 range, which would put him somewhere in that very low end RB1 category for this coming season in points per game. If you disagree, feel free to let me know in the comments. We try and read them as quickly as we can, and we always appreciate when y'all comment and like, subscribe for the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're well on our way. I think we're somewhere around 250, give or take, left to be able to hit that. But we appreciate you watching and hope you have a good night.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. If you made it this far, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to check out written content, head over to lastwordonsports.com.
Don't let the goblins get you.